country. We're going to keep our country. We will save this country. And the Lord said, go get some reinforcements. Build yourself an army. And boy, let me tell you, did I. And if people think that we're going to stop fighting for our freedom and liberty, they got something coming. They got something coming, don't they?
Well, let's go.
Friday night on Stand Up, Stand Out America. Joining me tonight is the famous retired Lieutenant Colonel Raul Reyes. And we've got some other people joining us on the podcast in a little bit. But, man, it's coming in hot and heavy tonight. Lots going on, Raul. Lots going on here. Let's talk.
How did you like the FBI raiding Mar-a-Lago, huh?
Well, I was just going to ask you the same thing. So, man, I don't even know what to think anymore, to be honest. I mean, something in me says, is this a setup? Like, is he playing some kind of game? Or did they really seriously, like, they've lost their mind, Raul? Like, I don't even know. I mean, we are in full-blown tyrannical government, communism. That's it. I mean, parents have been called domestic terrorists. We have a first lady who, by the way, sits in a round table and says, hi, my name is Kamala Harris. My pronouns are she, her, us, them, and I'm wearing a white dress.
You could be vice president.
Come on. I mean, we got that going on. I mean, Joe Biden can't get his jacket on. Glasses fall off. He can't even get up and out of, Air Force One. I mean, what the hell's going on, man? Come on, you're retired Lieutenant Colonel Reyes. I mean, come on, you got to know something,
look, the reality is we're in full-blown banana republic. And look, we can't look at
5 or what?
Yeah, we can't look at Mexico. They're so corrupt. I mean, look at Biden and his son. And then, of course, look, that's I think it's an all-time low for America when you go after the president. And most people don't know, look, the president is authorized classified material. He can ask for it. He can keep it in his house. They have what they call SCIFs, secret compartmentalized information SCIFs, which is what facilities. The F is the facilities part. But 4-star generals as well. I mean, you and I know General Flynn. All these people, they really never stop working for the government because they've been entrusted for a long time. Like, especially the 3- and 4-star generals, they always have this experience that just really you never want to get rid of. So they're allowed SCI, top secret, whatever the information is. Well, right. The president is for sure. So I'm curious to see what the paperwork says about how they went in and what did they go in for. But look, across America, if you're a MAGA, America First, just a Trump supporter, you're highly pissed off tonight, and I don't blame you. In fact, our friend Frank Lopez, who's running for Congress in Congressional District 23, the one I ran before, he's on the November ballot against the Rhino, Tony Gonzalez. They were down in San Antonio about an hour ago, down there in one of those major intersections, and they had their Trump flags and their American flags, Texas flags, and all they're doing, Blanca, is they are awakening those people who came out to the tune of 75, 80 million. I'm not convinced that more than that came to vote for Joe Biden. I mean, we've gone from a complete, utopia. It was great to be with all the cylinders are firing on the economy. Gas was at an all-time low. Black, red, and white, yellow. You were all working. America was moving in the right direction to this insane banana republic. It's just a dark age for us right now. And look, here's what I fear the most. The Chinese. Let me tell you just that right now.
Why is that? Why is that? Being that you're former military, what? Because, we say it. You hear all the pundits and all these mainstream media and everybody's like, oh, the Chinese. Why should we really be in fear right now of the Chinese?
Well, they've only just built the largest Navy. They got more U.S. carriers than we do now. maybe 3 or 4 times the amount. They're moving into places like, near Taiwan because they're claiming Taiwan. But here's the worst part. And you might have heard this somewhere else before, but we're used to fighting, a left and right, east or west battle. In other words, we always go across to Europe or we always go back on the other side to Japan, Korea. But we're starting to see a north and south impact, and especially in the south, where the Chinese provide the chemicals for fentanyl to the cartels. I did 22 years running in and out of U.S. Southern Command, the Western Hemisphere, Mexico, all the way down to Brazil, Chile, all those areas. The Northern Triangle, I know it backwards and forwards. And what I saw over 22 years is the Chinese buy port after port after port, and they do it because they have to feed 2 billion people. But
Yeah.
it's all a disguise because not only are they taking over the markets in Latin America, but they bring with them a military force that we have not countered. I mean, the Bay of Pigs is looking like kids play right now relative to what we see in Central and South America. And the Chinese are all over. We are so susceptible. Now think about it. Think about it. Joe Biden is going to be president if something were to happen between us and the Chinese. That's scary. The guy can't stop licking ice cream. He can't even walk or get off the airplane.
No,
And look, we're not making fun of. If he's sick, then
I
somebody
know.
needs to call it and get him out of there.
The
But
the
they,
wife. I
but
mean,
the alternative,
Raul,
the alternative is not very good.
no, but listen, something is definitely going on. Um, I'm just gonna bring her on real quick as we're talking because I want to add her here to the stream, Miss Conservative Cody herself. Welcome to
Hi.
the house, Conservative Cody. All
Hi, nice to see
right,
you. Nice to
we
see you,
are
Raul.
we
Hey,
are
nice to see you.
discussing this banana republic right now. Anyway, but hold on a second. I just want to welcome Conservative Cody to Stand Out America tonight. Raul Reyes is giving us a rundown of just how we should be in fear of the Chinese right now. And Raul, I mean, I hear you. I have heard this. I'm beginning to hear people that I know now. It's kind of like the COVID. Nobody believed in that COVID was really existence until you started to see people that you knew get it, or that it's starting to get closer. It's kind of the same way with fentanyl. I'm starting to hear people that I know that are going to funerals right now saying somebody just died of fentanyl. I mean, look at the chick in Hollywood right now that ran her car. They said she was actually
And
coked
Hedge.
up and she was on fentanyl
And Hedge.
and hedge.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
I
She was
mean,
partners with
Ellen DeGeneres.
yeah,
Ellen.
Ellen DeGeneres, and yeah, they made it sound like she was going to be okay, and all of a sudden they got to take her off life support because she's not going to make it or something. But yeah, fentanyl is the key. Look, and the Chinese are all over that. The cartel don't care. It used to be they cared for their customers. They don't care if you die. Guess what? We're importing a lot of illegal aliens that are going to be the new workforce. And I mean, that's a whole different topic. But the bottom line is our I think our security is at risk, not only with a weak president, but then you look at what they've done to the military. They've turned it into a woke force. And so what happens is we're so busy that, just figuring out what woke is in the military that we're not really exercising and sharpening our knives and our aim because we're too busy with all this ancillary training. By the way, that's happening with teachers as well, because instead of allowing them to teach math, English, and just get on with the basics of teaching kids, they've got to, indoctrinate with certain CRT, SEL, which is, by the way, it's social emotional learning stuff. And then, of course, critical race theory, which is embedded in a lot. It seems like every profession now in America, you really aren't doing that which you're supposed to. And you're actually involved in this emotional learning, social captivating. We got to be woke America. And then you throw in the Green Deal, right? And you have yourself, we have ourselves a problem. This is why they raided Mar-a-Lago. They hate Trump because he represents at least 80 million of us who came out to vote for him. And by the way, I still love the guy, and he's not endorsed against me, but he certainly endorsed my two other opponents. Big mistake, and I know a lot of us here have a problem with some of the rhinos he keeps endorsing.
Oh gosh, yes, we do.
If he's going to come back, he needs to fire the hell out of everybody. That's all there is to it. And he should hire some of us, because I'm pretty sure we know who the rhinos are. and
Oh
who
yeah.
yeah, so anyway, there it is.
I know. How do you Cody, how do you feel right now? Because we're discussing the break-in, I call it the break-in of Mar-Lago. I mean,
Well,
Los
what do you
rateros. Can we go
no,
Spanglish here? Is that all right?
I mean,
yes.
yes, absolutely. I want to hear.
And,
I
and
want to hear you. What
it's
you? What?
like my
Absolutely.
brother in San Felipe 13 down in Delaware would say, se metieron al chante sin permiso. You know what I mean? So
Exactly.
We can use our
Exactly.
Spanglish.
anyway, go ahead, Cody. I'm sorry.
It's okay. No, no, I'm enjoying it. Well, I'll go back also to what you're saying. That's a different story. It all falls into it, Raul. I mean, all the illegal aliens in China, it all falls into it some way or another. We go into the same path, the same rabbit hole. But that breaking into Mar-a-Lago, that is something that a lot of us have been warning about, the FBI being weaponized, and they're not the only alphabet that has been weaponized. I mean, look at what they did to the January 6th. The whole groups were infiltrated by the FBI, and we have political prisoners. They started with civilians because back when they started with President Trump, then regular citizen Donald Trump, they started listening into his conversations. He wasn't even an elected official yet. So the FBI has been weaponized for a very long time already. And this is something that was expected. I mean, a lot of us were surprised, but not too surprised because we knew something like this was going to happen. We just didn't know when. And like I said, I mean, they're using everything for their political agenda. We have political prisoners. We have political casualties, lives that were taken on January 6th. We have Ashley Babbitt and others that their lives were taken, and the FBI was involved in all that. So
Mm-hmm.
it's now IRS. I mean, they have the IRS, 80 some thousand new IRS agents.
87,000.
And they
87,000. No new border patrol agents. Come
no,
on, both of
and
you.
no,
Both of you
and
deal with border.
and
No,
no.
we've been asking for help at the border.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And we
well,
don't have any security in our schools, but we're weaponizing the IRS with everything that they confiscated, from bullets to guns from private citizens. So our kids are going back to school on Monday, or some of them started this week, and they could have, you know, protected the schools instead of going after regular citizens, because they're not going to go after the billionaires. They're going to go after you and me, and whoever, mainly conservatives. I'm not going to say they're not going to go after liberals or anybody, because everybody's a target, but it's going to start mainly with conservatives, with people that are
yeah,
speaking
the notion that we don't get taxed enough already, and so
Mhm.
let's hire 87,000. Really, that doesn't fly because they're here to do something else, and that's I think, we can't say they're not going to go. I think they'll go after Democrats if they're not part of the left, because I know a lot of folks associate Democrats with lefties, and for the most part they are. If you vote Democrat, you lean liberal left, but there's a hard left here that's really just out of control because, and this, Cody, and
Mhm.
Bianca, you've been down in the Rio Grande Valley area. A lot of our Democrat brethren
Mhm.
were moving over to the Republican Party, and I have to tell you, we can talk about this if you guys want, but I don't know that that's happening, especially not here in Texas. I think it's a hand that's being overplayed because the overall consensus here is Trump's been broken into, his house has been broken into. So then what does a conservative do? We're not going to run to Democrats and go, look, make this right. So we want to run to Republicans because they generally are the conservative party, right? And I say that because we have a lot of rhinos in charge. So who do we go to in a case like this? Because we really, I mean, look, right here in my district, Tony Gonzalez isn't going to save anybody. Liz Cheney up in Montana or Wyoming, she's not going to save anybody. Does
Nope.
anybody think John Cornyn's going to back Donald J. Trump on this? I mean,
No, not
so,
Dan Crenshaw, not.
so we see a
They've
lot
been
of Democrats.
silent.
Yeah.
Those
Oh, yeah.
guys
He's
have
been
been
awfully quiet.
silent.
Yeah.
None of them. Think about it. John Cornyn, Dan Crenshaw, they've all been silent. Tony Gonzalez ain't gonna say crap. They've all been they're silent.
Mhm.
Well,
This is
and
nuts.
and so I think it's going to have ramifications in November. And look, Cody, you live down, in the
Uh-huh.
RGV, and the last time I was there, I mean, it's been a year or so, but we were excited because we could see a lot of shifting going from Democrats walking away to Republicans. But then you have someone like, and I'm really disappointed, Myra Flores, right, who won her election. That's all there is to it. Great, congratulations. I'll point out a few things. I think she won like by 50.7% against a no-name Democrat, but nonetheless, that's a win. But then she turns around and votes for, chain migration and some of these things that are very rhino. In fact, I saw a video. I don't know who sent it to me. It might have been Bianca. You might have sent, but where she's running through the halls of Congress. Somebody's chasing her,
Nick
asking her,
Torres.
"Yeah, you voted for chain migration," and she's running like she's a Democrat. I'm like, look. So all I'm saying is, if there was an opportunity here, and I'm going to go to the Hispanicism right now because the Latino piece, the RNC has completely blown it, completely. And because we were hopeful that we had a home in the Republican Party. But Cody, you can tell me more because I know you've got a better feel for what's happening down in the RGV. People are going to still just vote for the person. And if that person happens to be Democrat, then that's who they're going to vote. By the way, I'm not advocating for that. All I'm saying is we're evaluating the problem here. And then let's go to Abbott real quick. Look, I'm going to tell you right now, I don't want Beto. We don't need Beto. Beto can go to hell. But the people who live on the border are looking at Abbott going, you're doing what for us? And because you keep throwing money into Operation Lone Star, it's a catch and release program. McGraw, who's the DPS sheriff in charge or whatever, the commander, he's pretending like, give me all the money. But you see Frank Lopez, he's down there in Del Rio and Eagle Pass. Mm-hmm. He's watching as people go to the DPS, they turn them over to DHS, and then they get released. And then, of course, we have no jobs down here. In this economy and this inflation, the Abbott keeps sending jobs to I-35 all the way to Frisco, and up there near Austin, but nothing to the West Texas southern borders. So tell me why we're going to vote for Abbott. And again, because he's the Republican, right? I have to tell you, and you guys were at the convention, at least I know Bianca was. I heard a lot of people there, the ones that booed John Cornyn. I mean, it was surreal. Mm-hmm. But I'm not sure they're on board with Abbott. And if Abbott can't solidify his base because he's pretending to solve the world problems in Texas, which he really isn't. I mean, we're in trouble here. Again, I hope we have a Republican governor, but the base is not seeing the difference right now, and they're pissed off. I mean, and then you look at the Hispanics in the southern border, they're like, okay, we gave the Republicans a chance, but not much is happening. So you came to visit me in Laredo 3 or 4 times because you wanted to win the primary, but the border is not secure. Am I wrong? Maybe I'm reading this wrong. What do you guys think?
Let me start with the valley.
Cody, take that because he's asking about the valley.
Okay, let you started off with the last win that we had here in the valley with Myra Flores. Myra Flores is somebody that our group did not support. She was a DACA supporter from the beginning, and we knew that, but she's not outspoken about it. And to me, if you support DACA, support it, be proud of it, and do it, but don't run away from what you did. So there are people that are disappointed in her vote, and she did not win by much, and the Democrats didn't do anything to win that special election, and she had already been campaigning. So
she barely edged him. She barely edged him,
and it's going to be more blue next time around. So I don't know, and really, I mean, you have a Democrat, you have somebody that votes amnesty. What's the difference? Because she's already part of the establishment. We all know that. We know that she sides with Dan Crenshaw. She sides with Tony Gonzalez. She sides with Kevin McCarthy. McCarthy. So, yeah, so she's one of those. She's one of those. She doesn't say, she avoids a real question. She's very scripted. When it comes to Abbott, it's very surprising how Abbott won because nobody likes Abbott from what I can hear. Here in the Valley, they do like him. They do.
Hey, I thought I was just the only one. I'm sorry, but you're saying something that everybody's going, I'm pretty sure we went with Allen or Huffines.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. That's
everybody
was across. Yes.
people that are active in politics, people that were out there talking to people, we thought, I want to say we knew, because I think that election, both, just like the Democrats steal elections, the Republicans are doing the same thing.
Yep.
Let's not hide from it. Republicans are doing the same thing, the establishment.
Yeah.
Let's call it for what it is. So we thought that there was going to be a runoff, whether it was going to be with Allen West or with Huffines against Abbott. He wasn't going to win by this majority. The numbers were too outrageous. He got booed before the primaries. They booed him out.
He didn't even want to show up to actual state convention for the fear of being booed. So what he did is he did his own little event where he could control the people that were coming in. And you know how that goes. They look at all the list.
Yes.
So
he even did that when Trump came down here to the Valley.
I went to the convention for the first time. I mean, I was military, and then I tried to go to the last one, but this whole cyber thing that they put together. But I went to this one, and listen, I felt kind of stupid because I kept saying, I'm sorry, why isn't the Republican quarterback known as the governor not here? And I think I actually put on my Facebook, imagine a Republican Party convention where the Republican governor doesn't show up. I mean, I'm not the smartest guy in the room, guys. I'm telling
you. Why is he going to show up when Texas turned purple under his watch?
Yeah.
Texas turned purple. We were solid red, and under Abbott's watch, we have turned purple. And when it comes to Beto and Abbott, what does it matter? They get money from the same open borders, donor down here in the Valley.
So here's
the same money.
I don't know that it's a theory. It's just, in my analysis of what's going on in the political world of Texas. So I always wonder, look, and I think I've mentioned this to Bianca before. Why did the Democrat? And I'm not trying to help Democrats. I'm just, we're somewhat doing the punditry here. So if you're listening in, we haven't gone crazy. We're just talking about some obvious things here. One of them is, out of the entire Democrat world, they could not grab like a Bill Clinton, maybe Hispanic, kind of a slick guy, smooth talker that would run against Abbott that was maybe better well known. Instead, they got the most antagonistic person to run against Abbott. So if you already have issues with Abbott, people will look at you and go, so you want Beto? I'm like, of course I don't want Beto. But Abbott isn't much better. And somebody was telling me, look, you want the guy with 12-inch horns or 6-inch horns? I mean, which one do you want?
So let me just throw in this is what I always say. And Myron, Cody knows this. I say, okay, because they tell me the same thing. You're not going to vote for Abbott? Oh my God, you're going to vote for? No, I'm not going to vote for either. But here's the thing. And they say, well, how can you do that? You're going to let Beto win. I said, first of all, he just rigged the primaries. Do you honestly believe that he's going to lose the state to Beto? No. Second, they're not any different. They're like, oh, but they are. And I'm like, no, they're not. So Beto wears a T-shirt that says, I stand with, homosexuality or transgender.
Abortion, everything. Yeah.
Abortion. He wears a T-shirt. Abbott doesn't wear the T-shirt, but he accepts the money from the clinics that do the gender modification. He accepts the money from, the dirty money from the cartels that gets washed through the banks down the border. He gets money from people like Alonso Cantu that fundraises for Pelosi. And so I'm like, what's the difference, guys? I'm sorry. Just because he has an R in the back, I'm sorry. He's done nothing. He's New World Order for all I care about. He goes to Davos.
I'm with Bianca. Bianca and I have discussed it. I'm disgusted. Well, that too. Disgusted and disgusted. I am not going to vote for governor. I am not going to vote, not even for Congress. I'm not in Myra's Flores. My Congress candidate is Monica de la Cruz. She got endorsed by McCarthy, and she wears that very, very proudly by Dan Crenshaw. And, I cannot vote for somebody that's already siding with the establishment even before they get there.
Is that the feel down in the RGV? I mean, you're hearing that? Because I'm hearing this up here as well.
People are still like in the RGV. They're excited because they've never had a strong Republican candidate. But if you look at the numbers, like in Myra Flores' number, she didn't win the Valley. She won up in the northern counties. She lost.
Yeah, it was the two red counties that went red for Trump, but they're not in the new seat. Is it 34?
No,
Right? They're not
they're
in the new
not.
seat
She lost
34,
those.
and the new counties that are in seat 34, they're more
They're
liberal. So
15. Hmm.
yeah, so it's something like 18 plus Biden. And so look, let's go back to something Bianca said. And again, theory. Nobody go telling the world we've gone nuts here, but let's for a second follow what you just said, Bianca, and that is Abbott rigged it. Okay, let's just go there. That means he's got to be in bed with some kind of entity on the left that says we're going to let you win the primaries because we're in essence saying something happened in the elections and the vote came out because it was very weird. I thought for sure Helpines or West would do much better than they did, but let's just go there for a second. And my mother would say, look, you got to be careful when you get in bed with snakes because eventually they stop loving you and they bite you, right? So what happens if in November this snake turns on Abbott and says, ha, we got you, and all of a sudden the count goes to Beto? Because here's really what's happening, I think, is there's a lot of people I'm hearing when we talk politics, exactly what Cody's saying. We're just not going to vote for either one. And when that happens, generally conservatives, let me rephrase that. The Republican usually loses. I don't want to say conservative because, I mean, the good news here is, as people who try to be good Christians, we're all imperfect. You can't tell me to go vote for the lesser evil. Evil is evil. And in the hypocrisy, I think is crazy. What really kills me is when they look at the Hispanic, Latino population, and they sort of try to, gaslight us by saying, well, you guys are the most conservative culture. Listen, I've got black friends, white friends, Indian friends. They're just as conservative, if not more than I am. And so it's an insult is point number one. But two, to try to move us, they try to do that with Latinx, right? Latinx was sort of this word that the left used to say, well, Latinos are hip and they're kind of liberal and they're okay with abortion. I'm like, I don't know what the hell you're talking about, but that's not us. I see some of that on the Republican side with this. Well, they're culturally Hispanic. And yet, look, I ran against a guy named Pete Flores. I would wager everything that I'm way more conservative than that guy. But the Republican Party in Texas didn't want to support me or you, Bianca Gracia, because I mean, you were up against Goliath as well on the other end. So,
or Myra's run for office. Same with her. The GOP didn't. She was the one out there. She was ready, prime for a seat, and they wanted to go with a person that wasn't going to be able to win.
So before we go too far, I want to make sure I'm clear here. I don't think this is. I know for a fact this isn't a racist thing. What this is it's a money thing. And it's a control thing because they don't care. Myra Flores just happens to be Hispanic, and they're going to fully utilize that because she's controllable. Obviously, so she's pro amnesty and hanging out with Lulac Tony and Red Flag Dan Crenshaw. The rest of us are saying, not just as Hispanics, but mostly as Texans and Americans, going, what the hell's going on with the Republican Party? And quite frankly, I'm a little pissed off. I mean, I'll tell you straight out. But at least I say it with a smile, guys. You know what I mean? And a little goatee, just a little bit. That's
the thing. The GOP is now playing identity politics, against the Democrats just to make money. And they found somebody that's going to play and allow herself to be used, or with the puppeteers for the Republican Party, because it's all about the money, the control. The power.
Yeah. Power and money. So one of the things is, and I don't know if I've said it on here before, but I testified at state convention. I was there Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday to do testify at committee. One of the things that I said when I was speaking about the border is, you see the headlines. Latinos are leaving the Democrat Party in huge numbers. What I said to the Republican Party is, let me make something very clear. We as a culture, as ethnic group, may be leaving the Democrat Party, but we for sure as hell are not coming to the Republican Party. So you can compromise and our values and principles on the very reason why we're leaving the Democrat Party. That's not what we're not coming over here so you can water down the policies and then start talking about, oh well, we're gonna water this down. No, we're coming over here because the policies. It happens to be the policies, and that's what it is. And let me tell you, Hispanic, you guys know this. Come on, we're all Hispanic, Tejanos, Latinos, whatever you want to call it, Mexican, whatever, indigenous people. I just went to a quinceañera, okay, and I'm telling you, there's a family, there's a side of the family is very conservative, the other family is just not really political. But the side of the family that's very conservative, they're all coming up to me. They want to talk to me about, hey man, shoot, they raided Trump's, they're like, he's gangster now. He's like us. And I'm like, oh my God, this is the way our culture sees it, right? Not only that, they're sitting there and they're like, man, they're like, you tell them how it is, sis. You tell them how it is. And I'm laughing at my relatives, right? Because I'm going, man, this is puro. I mean, it's like, that's the thing. And one of the sentiments, even though they're conservative, this was a sentiment of these Hispanics in the room, right? The sentiment was, we don't give a shit about the Democrats and we can't stand Biden and there ain't money in our pockets and you ain't definitely going to take my gun away. That was a sentiment. But on the other side, they're like, we can't stand, we're going to go vote, but for what? To send these Republicans into office who are going to do nothing? They're going to be spineless. They're going to sit there and help the Democrats come take away our guns. They're like, hell no. One of my cousins said, I just bought 3 AR-15s. He's like, come and take that. That's how pissed off the Hispanic community. And I'm talking about la familia, la raza. Yeah. This is not like, oh, I went to Harvard University. This is not that. This is my raza here. Mi familia.
The homies in el barrio.
They're the homies in the barrio. They're like, you ain't gonna come take shit. My aunt was like, man, I went buy myself a Glock. She's like, yeah, try to have them come take my shit. I mean, they're just not having it. This is why the Democrats are leaving. I mean, these people are leaving. Our Hispanics are leaving the Democrat Party, but they sure as heck are not coming over to the Republican Party so that you can compromise the very reason they left. That's a sentiment. That was tonight, guys. They're pissed. They're like, we are pissed. They went into his freaking house. Like they raided his house. And they didn't even have the balls to raid it when he was there. That's the way the Hispanic culture is.
But Lindsey Graham is going to write a letter.
What?
But Lindsey Graham said he was going to write a letter.
Oh, God, hell no.
Look, I think you hit it right up. I think you hit it, like always, right on the target. Porque, yeah, you're right. I mean, I grew up in Del Rio. San Felipe is the barrio that I grew up in. And I was back there a couple of days ago, and I heard the same thing. There are certain things you just don't cross, like with Asian Americans, with Black Americans. Mm-hmm. But for Hispanic Americans, to go, even your worst enemy will not present himself at the house because it is to be respected. So when the FBI raids a guy like Trump, and you really support this dude, I mean, those are fighting words, and the FBI, I'm talking like real fights, not insurrection, because they're liable to come get us here, but that it is cultural. It just, va a haber chingazos, you know what I'm saying? I mean, can I say that on TV here?
Yes, you can.
So I think, look, my concern is, I mean, for whatever Trump is now, one, he doesn't deserve that. And we've got cross-sided with him a little bit on endorsements and all this other stuff. I mean, we don't like that piece.
Right.
But the people that were leaving the Democrat Party, moving to the Republican Party, I used to correct people all the time. I'm like, listen, they're not coming to the RNC. They're coming to the Trump Republican Party, the new one. Yeah. And this is why they had to get rid of him, you see, because then where do we go? Where do we go? Because I'm telling you right now, I don't like a lot of the Republican leadership any further than I can throw them. Certainly not my congressman. If I look at Abbott, I'm highly disappointed in the guy. And they'll accuse you of, well, you want Beto. Listen, nobody wants anybody that doesn't want to do the job. And it just feels like a uniparty. But I think if there's some we got in bed with each other up at that level to win the primary, we got to be careful because in November we may see a Beto O'Rourke governor because a lot of people are just going to sit it out. And the worst part is we don't have a presidential November. It's an off year, you know.
Yeah, and just real quick here because I know Cody might want to say something, but that at CPAC, I had several people tell me that they actually, and these are conservatives. I mean, you're talking about CPAC Trumpsters, right? Trumpsters. They're saying, yeah, we actually hope that Beto does win to teach these Republicans a lesson. And I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? I mean, like, did you just say that out loud? They're like, yeah, because, and then this was their attitude because these are Republican, right? Conservatives. They said he's not gonna be able to do anything anyway because the House is and the Senate is going to belong to the Republicans. So, but they won't be able to do anything. But just for the sake of sticking it in their face that Abbott lost and to get him out, to get him out of there. Real quick, Terry Christie says this Gringa American is pretty pissed too. And Andy De Leon out in Oklahoma says she's laughing at your chingazos, Raul. So, this is pretty funny, but I want to show you guys something. Let me see if this will play for me. I'm not ever good at sharing my screen, but let me see if I can do this. I want to show you something here today, and I want y'all to comment on it. Tell me if y'all can see it. Can y'all see it?
No.
You can't.
You're freezing up too. There you go.
No? Okay.
No, okay,
you know what? Hold on.
Wrong screen.
Hold on.
We want to see more Bianca.
Well, hold on. There we go. Hang on a second. Let's see here.
The TikTok?
Yes.
Okay.
Let me see if I can actually get this to play. Can y'all see that?
It's not playing yet.
It's not playing yet?
No.
Darn. Okay.
While you're getting there to work, I'm just going to say something really quick. I have a friend, a colleague or whatever that's a liberal, and he actually does, he campaigned for Beto when he ran. Oh, there you go.
Just a huge created this huge momentum within the Hispanic community. Why they came in overwhelming numbers. Because the one thing that we could recognize is that he was one of our mil máscaras. He was a luchador.
Yeah.
He would go up against every single media, world leaders, Democrats, Republicans. I mean, everybody would come after him. Everybody. And it was that punch, an uppercut, and he'd knock out, But I'm like, oh, wait a minute. He's that kind of guy that's going to get up from that knockout, and he's going to come at you 10 times harder.
Yeah.
That's what attracts a Hispanic. It's the luchador, the fighter of the people.
I can see that.
You know why Trump made it?
So guys, that
we lost Raul.
oh, did we? Hold on. We almost lost. Okay, there he goes. All right, we almost lost him. So, guys, that was put out today. It's pretty much gone viral on TikTok. We have 200 and I think it's almost edging at 300,000 views on TikTok. It went viral today. So, I mean, I just summed it up, guys. I want to hear. Let me go to Cody first. I say I've said this all along. Trump is our luchador. I mean, this obviously they broke into his house and everybody's pissed off. This goes viral. Myra, your take on it?
Well, I mean, yeah, that is something. I remember watching the luchas when I was little with my mom. My mom had always liked the luchadores, and then when we came over here, I mean, I remember watching, Hulk Hogan and the WrestleMania and all that when I was little. But we always like somebody that's a fighter. We like to see that person that gets knocked down but gets up and doesn't allow himself to be put down. And that is what Trump represents for our community, our people, somebody that's that is going to fight regardless of the obstacles. I mean, a lot of us, you know, we come over here and we work and we find a life in this country despite the obstacles that we had, whatever country we left. So he's somebody that, I mean, he's been here, but he's been given and thrown a lot of punches, but he never falls. He gets back up. If he does, he tumbles. He hasn't fallen. He just tumbles, and he's still there, and he's still fighting for the people. And that's
Right.
something that we admire. And he fights for our money, our pockets, and has that's something that is very important to our community, because we do have large families, a lot of the Mexican community, and we need that money in our pockets. We need to keep making that money. And under Biden, it hasn't been good. It hasn't been good. Everybody's struggling.
Yeah.
I mean, I've discussed here how much I spend on milk. I went the other day and my daughter wanted some hot Cheetos, and I returned the bag of hot Cheetos because $5 for a bag of Cheetos. I was like, no.
No, come on. Are you serious?
Yes, and it's ridiculous what we're spending, and we're not somebody that, you know, we don't buy a lot of junk food. You've seen us, Bianca, but it's like we had that craving and we can't, because even though we're making more, the money's not there.
Do you hear this, Raul? Our Myra over there has to cut off hot Cheetos because we're living under Biden's America. I mean, you know, seriously, come on, we're having to.
Well, but let me make a comment. Let me make a comment. Yeah, let me make a comment of the luchador thing. And look, there's a reason that's going to go viral, because, you know, it's the Rocky Balboa of our times. But look, when you integrate that into politics, what happens is see, look, the last guy I had a lot of faith in, and I still like him, but he's really just sort of fallen off a little bit here, is Ted Cruz. You remember when Ted Cruz went up against Dewhurst? I mean, the guy was throwing and lobbing bombs, and then he ends up going to the Senate, and he's dropping, you know, punches on Democrats and Republicans who would not push the conservative agenda. Love the guy. And then what happened?
I was a Ted Cruz supporter before President Trump.
And then what happens is, you know, he's the one guy I thought, man, this guy's, and he did for a long time. And I don't know if he withered out or whatever, but then you look at a guy like Trump, and man, I tell you what, this is why I still very much like this guy. I think God has his hands over him or something, but he's raised this warrior in Brooklyn, dealt with all the New Yorkers of the world, took on every head of state who has treated us like crap for the last 30 years, where we ended up giving all our jobs to Thailand and Taiwan, and we made everybody else rich. But the people especially in South Texas, the only way you make money there is if you're part of the trade that happens in Laredo, and I don't mean to belittle the truck drivers. I'm just saying you have to be a hauler of logistics or a manager of logistics. But Samsung isn't coming down to Brown. I mean, we're lucky that what's his face is doing the rockets down there and all. Yeah, but it comes back to your video, and that is in the politic arena. You know, if Trump is really who he says he is, he's gonna have to come back. This is not the way the story ends. I don't care, and they're trying to make him out to be old and all that. I'm like, have you seen Joe Biden?
Have you seen Biden?
So and so he's got to come back now. Now let me address something Paula Glenn is saying here. It's what we hear, and I'm seeing the comments here. Hey, we get it. I voted in the primaries. We have Abbott. We're not saying here, you know, we want Beto. What we're analyzing here for everybody is that there is a base that absolutely now sees what Abbott is not. And he's not a guy who's going to really take on the federal government, because if we were going to secure this border, folks, we would have declared an invasion. And instead of having all those DPS and the guard down there catching and giving them to DHS, we would literally walk them to the port of interest and start walking across the bridge. It would turn into a merry-go-round, but that beats sending people into the country that they have not earned citizenship. Your parents, my parents, me being here. I mean, we are the fruits of the labors of our parents or grandparents or great grandparents. I know some people have been here for generations. I'm a first generation, American here. My dad's from Mexico, came here legally. So when I see all these people coming across, it is the biggest insult to me, especially for people who defend the nation in their uniform. And I'm not saying that you have to do that, but you cannot possibly be okay with all this. So my point being with the Abbott thing, and again, to address, listen, nobody wants Beto, but we've been dealt, the worst two cards in poker here. And it's hard to look at us and go, keep it red, because if there's any one thing that Texans don't want to deal with, it's the hypocrisy and the gaslighting that is coming along with, especially in the Hispanic world. Hispanics are culturally conservative. That's an insult to my friends who are white, black, red, whatever the colors are. We're Texans first. And so naturally, we're going to be conservative. And so, again, I've said it before, Abbott is going to spend all that $25 billion surplus, because we're already at $4.5 billion on this border. And guess what? If you look at what Frank Lopez down there and Ben Bergquam and what's the other young man? ¿Cómo se llama este?
Anthony Aguero.
Anthony Aguero. All these, they're all capturing on video evidence that says you're simply spending money, our tax money, while our property taxes are going through the roof, to make it look very clinical, very clean. Buses move from 12 to 5 in the morning. By the time you go to work, they've already gone to San Antonio or Laredo, so where they can fly people out of the country or into the country. And so you don't see any of it except for, the occasional video here and there where 300 people are coming across and you go past. Anyway, all that said, it's just a simple analyzation of what I've seen at the convention, what I'm seeing around here in South Texas, what Cody's seeing in South Texas, and Bianca's a little more world travel because of her association with General Flynn and that group. And I'm sorry, man, I'm not seeing a lot of love for guys like Kevin McCarthy and the RNC. And really, it's a travesty that we've blown an opportunity for Now, in November, we're going to find out. But I think, Cody, you're right. That district that Myra's in is so blue, and she's already went to the other side. They're not going to see the difference between her, and I think she's running against Vicente Gonzalez.
Vicente Gonzalez.
They're just going to keep the devil they know, because he's been around the longest and he's got seniority anyway. So I think really they've used this as an opportunity to fundraise the heck out of Hispanic female in South Texas wins. By the way, you're right. It was 50.6%. And I don't mean any disrespect to the Democrat, because I don't know who he is, but he's a no-name Democrat.
He was a pro-life. He was a pro-life guy.
Yeah, essentially, he's not a Nancy Pelosi or AOC.
No,
nobody knows him.
He called out.
Yes, he barely beat him, is my point.
Yeah, he called out the Democrat Party because the Democrat Party basically handed that that special election to Myra Flores. They did not care to win it. They didn't back Dan in any way. They didn't help him. And Myra Flores had already been, campaigning for her regular campaign. So, she already had it. So, but even so, saying that, she didn't win by a big margin. She still struggled to beat him.
Yeah.
Had
the Democrats put any effort, they would have kept their seat. Mm-hmm. But that wasn't the plan. The plan was, I firmly believe.
Money.
For
everybody who's in our role, this is money,
But I called it since March and April when I had already heard the rumors that, there was going to be a special election. So I called it and I said, okay, I mean, you can ask Cody here. She knows. Mm-hmm. I called it. I said, listen, guys, the deal's already been done. And when you knew that the Democrats weren't putting any effort, I said, the deal's been made. They're going to get, her to win this special election, and they're going to barely get her to win with numbers so that they can really say in November, well, she barely won. So, but what she wasn't smart about is that they got her to drain all her money. She'd fundraised for a year. So she drained all her money for this special election. And they're fundraising for her, but guess what? Or off of her, they're fundraising off of her. The RNC and the GOP and the NRCC, everybody's fundraising off of her. But what they are not doing is they're not really giving a whole lot of money back to her because they know she's already going to lose.
Yeah.
They know she doesn't stand a chance.
Well,
so that's what pisses me off is I don't like people getting used. Now,
yeah,
she allowed herself to get used for the sake of wanting to be the Hispanic who flipped the seat and everything.
The GOP, it's all about the local GOP.
It's all
She's
about
very
the
good
GOP.
friends with,
and Myra, give us a little synopsis of that.
The what? The GOP down here?
Yeah.
The family ran GOP where we have our chairwoman and her husband is a treasurer, her aunt is the secretary. They got her dad running for judge of appeals. They got her husband's friend running for district attorney. It's just and then they got Myra, who's a good friend of hers now. And it's just, I just stay out of it. I just don't want to deal with the GOP.
But we're dealing with this all over the place, though.
Mm-hmm. But the thing is that, I mean, going back to Vicente Gonzalez, because you said something about him, despite of what he is, I don't like him. I wouldn't vote for the guy, but he's done a lot for the community. He's done stuff for the community, and the people like him. I don't know why I don't like him, but a lot of the people, he reaches out to the colonias, something that the GOP doesn't do. The Republicans don't reach out to the lower communities, and this guy and the Democrats. I mean, I was block walking all last year. Mm-hmm. From February all the way until December, I was block walking for different campaigns. And it was local campaigns. So I got to go to the colonias. I got to go to to the country clubs and the colonias. The country clubs all knew, the Republican Party and this and that. You go to the colonias and they're really Democrats why? Because they reach out, they help me, they did this. We didn't have light. Our streets needed this. They came and helped us. They advocated for the kids for school or whatever. But I'm part of nonprofit organizations now. And one of the persons that helps out one of the domestic violence organizations that I'm in, it's a huge Democrat. And I can't stand the guy. And one of the GOP ladies says, oh, well, I'm not going to say hi to him. He's a Democrat. I go, he's a Democrat, but he's the one doing stuff for the domestic violence. I go, I haven't seen a Republican out here. So it's kind of like, these are the people, they have done their community service, the Democrats. And it's sad not to see the Republicans or the GOP do the same thing.
Because they think they're above it. They think they're above it.
And look, and you know this, Bianca, and even Myra here, about a year and a half ago, and even early on in the Trump stages, we've been active. Mm-hmm. And a lot of other, and I'm going to go there for a second, a lot of other Hispanics really activated to move people to the Republican Party. Again, the Trump Republican Party. Mm-hmm. And we were met with brute force, even against some of our own Republican entities. Now, I want you to think about something. That district that Vicente Gonzalez abdicated, he essentially resigned and said, here, go spend your money on that special election. This is what happened with Myra Flores. And now she has no money to go run against him. Well, they're going to give her some, but not enough to beat him. But you have to ask yourself, the Republican Party owns the House in Texas, the Senate in Texas, the governor, lieutenant governor, and we made that district more Democrat. It's 18 plus for Joe Biden in CD 34. Why would we do that? Why is our own state Republican Party abdicating and ceding? I mean, here we are, and you know this, you've been at it for 4 or 5 years now, maybe even longer, going down to Laredo and RGV everywhere. I've caught on after my congressional run. Lots of people trying to get South Texas to go to the Republican Party. And now what do we say? Yeah, we want you to, gangbusters for Abbott, but we're looking at the border. We're looking at our impoverished area. And again, it's not just Hispanics. I mean, this is all Texans and South Texas have been hurt by this illegal invasion that Joe Biden broke. Let's just be clear about that. That is he got into office, he stole the election. I'm convinced of that. But we are not without any due diligence. We have constitutions that allow the great state of Texas to declare an invasion and do something. And why our governor won't do anything is beyond me. And I guess I should have known when I went to the convention and realized he wasn't going to show up. And then John Cornyn gets booed like crazy. Yeah, I got to tell you, it's the best $300 I spent. I'm telling you, I was excited. So now, let me say something else, because I remember looking at my wife. I said, I'm going to go one time. Like everybody, I've been disheartened by elected Republicans who have gone rhino on us. And, they look at us going, you're culturally Hispanic or conservatives. I'm like, well, yeah, but what are you going to do about that? And so I told my wife, I said, I'm going to go this one time, and I may never do this again. I may just start a podcast and go hang out, Bianca, do something. I don't know what I'm going to do. And, but
he's going to come hang out with me and you, Myra.
He can be my co-host.
She said, go with an open mind. I said, and I did. So we did like 3 days. On the very last day, I said, Lord, I'm just not seeing a conservative Republican Party. And by the way, the convention, the people that went to the convention are absolutely phenomenal. They're beautiful. They're wonderful. They really are some of the hardest working people in the world. They sit down and they write these priorities and they cross the T's and dot the I's. It's awesome.
Yes.
But they were all tired of handing over their priorities to the elected officials, elected Republicans, and they wiped their butts with it.
Yep.
And so I told my wife, I said, I'm going to go and pray that there is some glimmer of hope. And you know what? On the last couple of hours, Rinaldi disconnects the Republican Party from the legislative body. That then makes it more of a private entity. In other words, we could get down the road where we can censure people. And if our elected Republicans don't hold to the planks, maybe soon we can censure them out of the party. Because right now, if you get censured, it means nothing. It means absolutely nothing. That's it. That's why people get elected. They just use the Republican base to get elected, and then they go do whatever they want. So I still remain hopeful about the Republican Party. Just a little concerned that got to go vote for Abbott. Fine. But if there's not enough people that are willing to do that, and Cody's doing that smirky smile because he's like, I don't know about that. And I get it. That's what we're talking about. If not enough people are convinced about what I just said, then we're in trouble, because Beto, it's crazy. I don't understand it. The guy's a moron, but he has a following. And I don't know if it's just people have had it with Abbott and the Republican Party. I mean, anger can drive you to the other side. I mean, you shouldn't abdicate your morals and your values, but some people will allow anger to just go, you know what, the hell with Abbott, and they go vote for Beto, and now we have a governor. It's funny that you say that at the convention. You're right. I heard some people go, even my opponent, Pete Flores, they said, if we don't vote for that guy, how could it hurt? I mean, we're not going to get anything done anyway.
Let me stop you right there, because you say, that what you said right now, that's why I'm not voting for Abbott, because I have values. I have things that I stand on, and voting for Abbott is going against my values and going against what I believe in. This guy had refused to speak to any of the angel families. He did not want to speak to them. Anything that said, protection of the border or anything, he did not want to speak to anybody because of the money he was receiving. He waited until March to bring the National Guard, knowing that Biden was going to be, illegally in the White House, but Biden was going to be there. He waited. I spoke to National Guard. He sat on his ass and did nothing, and is still doing nothing. He's an election mode governor that does things for photo ops. That's why he's coming to the Valley, to take pictures with us Mexicans and saying that he's doing stuff at the border when he's not. All he does is come and collect money from his donor and go back home.
Well, and remember real quickly, in Del Rio last May, remember Frank Lopez, myself, a lot of folks, you, Bianca, we did this symposium, remember? Mm-hmm. We're trying to get Abbott. He went, he heard great. He went. we're going to build a wall, turn into a fence, and 2 miles of wall that you can tear down by Eagle Pass. Yeah, 2 miles. And we're going to arrest everybody. Yeah, we're going to arrest everybody. Yeah, we're going to arrest everybody. But you forgot to tell us you were going to give them to DHS, who then fly them into the country anyway. And we're going to give you all the resources to combat this. Kenny County was first in line a year and a half ago to try to get some money. It took them almost a year. And now we're spending $4 billion on Operation Lone Star. And it does nothing for us other than help it keep it pretty.
And I'm with you when you said about, I don't like that the illegal aliens are getting transported to DC and to New York, because that is still the United States. You're just getting them further in there to further hide and commit, not all of them, but commit crimes or get used for cheap labor. And that is wrong. It's like they should turn around and send them back.
It turns out we may be the smartest people in the room, because we're asking questions like, I'm sorry, I mean, I know that makes you feel good to send them to DC, but aren't we involved in sending illegals up to DC? I mean,
we're human trafficking.
We're helping them do that. Yeah.
The cartel are like, thank you. Here, they're selling more.
Bianca, it's a puro banana republic. Puro banana republic. I'm telling you right now.
The cartels are getting more people crossed over because they're saying, hey, I cross you over, the governor of Texas is going to send you back, wherever you want to.
Where I need you.
DC.
Where I need you.
So they're selling more people because we're sending them in on our money.
So I have a question for Raul here, and maybe some clarification. We're talking about censorship. They recently, Medina County censored your congressman because they have no confidence in him. I know you said that the censorship right now doesn't really hold anything, but it does. You do know that the Republican Party censored, Joe Strauss, the Speaker of the House, and they got rid of him. He can't run as a Republican anymore. When you get censored by the Republican Party of Texas, you cannot run as a Republican anymore. No. So it does carry some weight. But here's why it did carry weight. Because you have to have so many counties censor. Yeah. Then when you have so many counties censored, it goes to the SREC, State Republican Executive Committee. And if you are overwhelmingly have a good number, you present it to the SREC during their quarterly meeting, and then they vote on the statewide censorship. So the statewide censorship is the one, if you get that from the actual Republican Party of Texas, you're pretty much toast. You're done. So there is a movement. I think Maria was telling me that she was reading that is it 17 or 27 counties have already censored Cornyn. Yeah. So there's a movement to censor Cornyn, and they have so many. I don't know what that magic number is. They're going to take it to the SREC when they meet, and then you're possibly looking at Cornyn getting censored. I've heard rumors. I think the Revolt or the Revolver, one of the newspaper outlets wrote about it. There's rumors that Cornyn is going to retire. Yeah. But he's not going to do it right now. He's going to do it as they get closer, right?
After November. After November.
Oh, no. I think he'll stay in a little bit longer than that. He'll stay in because his term's not up till 2026.
Yeah, but
so they'll
my sense is that they're going to wait for the November election so that Abbott wins, right? And then because Abbott, if he's going to run for president, he can't pick the successor to Cornyn.
Correct.
So I think it's got to happen between November and whenever Abbott declares, because he wants to put all those ships in place. And so I think it's a little bit sooner than, I think by May of next year, if he does resign, it'll happen.
So here's the thing. Yeah, they want to, because I wasn't aware of this. The governor, so there will be no special election. The governor will just appoint a new senator. Yeah. So I'm like, you got to be kidding me here. So how hard is it going to be to beat the incumbent, right? That's no bueno. So I don't know. Our state of Texas is in trouble, guys. I keep saying it. We are being the number of people coming in from California and buying up our land, especially in the rural communities
But
out of the hill country.
But let me say this to you. So you mentioned the Senate. Remember, at one point we had something like 23 senators. We're down to like 18. In fact, we had 19 the last time, and then actually 19 before, but then it would drop to 18 to the point that Dan Patrick had to, the majority had to be moved down to 18 senators so that we could get stuff done in the Senate. But that is to me the biggest indicator of what the problem can be in November for Abbott, because what's happened in the Senate, yeah, it's a lot of a lot of liberals are moving into Texas, but really senators who we voted in have gone rhino, and on the subsequent election they lose because they lost their base, and so it goes Democrat. So that's how it's gone from 22, 23 down to 18. So if Texas in the last decade has lost that many senators to Democrats, it's because the base has gotten disgruntled with their elected Republicans because they keep lying to us. So
Right.
Abbott doesn't, I'm just saying, if I was his advisor, I'd like, you better go solve something real fast, like this border, or November isn't going to be as easy as you think, unless, like, as we've talked, and again, we're not conspiracy theorists here. We're just analyzing all the possibilities. If they made a deal, then okay, it's a done deal, and he's going to win regardless. He's going to then move on to run for president. Dan Patrick will take over, as I think that's what's going to happen. And then we're off to the races. But to the censure, you're right. But for everybody who's listening in, the reason we keep bringing back a guy named Tony Gonzalez isn't just because he's in my district, but he's the only other Republican congressman in the House that voted for the red flag law, which got John Cornyn into trouble. So there's only two people, one senator and one congressman, and that's Cornyn and Tony Gonzalez. So those are the things we're dealing with across the spectrum.
But Tony Gonzalez also voted against Trump.
Yeah, January 6th.
January 6th. So, why was he not under the radar like all these other people have been targeted, across the country? Why was Tony Gonzalez not targeted? That's what I want to know.
Well, I think Kevin McCarthy has offered a certain amount of protection. You know what's crazy is I saw Trump before he went to CPAC. They were at this other America First event. Did y'all see that? And,
no.
But it's the America First group or
policy.
something.
Policy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so Trump was speaking there, but guess who was there too? Kevin McCarthy and a lot of the rhinos. I said, okay, what the hell's going on here?
Well, Trump endorsed Kevin McCarthy. Trump endorsed Kevin McCarthy, so that's not so.
America First Project or something. I don't know. Anyway, all that said, I don't know if Trump's gotten a hold of Kevin McCarthy and said it's my way or the highway. And because right now, a guy like Gonzalez is persona non grata. Medina County did censure him. Pecos County out in West Texas has censured. They just haven't released the documents. Uvalde County tried to censure him last night. I think they've moved it to September. I'm not sure is what I'm hearing. Del Rio has it, or Valverde County is looking at it sometime this week. Bexar County is looking at it this week or next week, which is, by the way, the largest county in the district. And so I think this all culminates from the convention. When John Cornyn, and by the way, it was horrible. You were there. He walks in with his wife, and they booed not just him. They said, we don't care who you're with. And I mean, it went on for 5 minutes. It was the longest 5 minutes.
Listen,
I was like,
the crazier thing is the people got even more pissed off because of whoever wrote his speech they should have been fired, because when he spoke, he said, I am da-da-da, and he starts talking about how he's a staunch conservative who protects the Constitution. I was sworn in to protect the Constitution. Man, the boos got even louder.
Yeah.
Boo! And then you had these Republican women going, people that were booing, and they're like, that's very disrespectful. You shouldn't do that. And I said, well, he shouldn't be trying to take our guns away.
Oh, I was with you. I was with you with that lady. I was like, listen, by the way, I'm going to say this, but she only looked at you like, I don't know if it was you, female or Hispanic or both. I said, whoa. Anyway,
Yeah, they looked at me. They were bad, but it was. I mean, listen, I wasn't like screaming boo, but I was like boo. I was joining in the boos. I was like, this is perfect opportunity, and I was like, these people. There was just some people that weren't having it, and I said, well, this is what's wrong with the party. It's those people. They continue to keep electing and letting those other officials get away and not hold them accountable. Because we have a primary people, and if they're not doing their job, you should be primarying them out so we can have a good conservative, a good Republican. So
well,
yeah,
Governor Abbott has continued to declare Texas is still under COVID emergency, and we're coming up on November. I'm not saying he's part of what I'm saying is, why would we be doing that if it doesn't allow you to do more mail-in ballots and
Can I stop you right there?
Yeah,
you know
go
why?
ahead.
You know why COVID is something that he presses on? Because one of his biggest donors is the owner of the hospital here in South Texas, and he's open borders. He owns the South Texas the Renaissance Hospital. It's a huge thing that he wanted to do a district hospital, and he also named him as head of the board for Open Texas. And who benefits from all this COVID? The hospital. So that's why.
There you go.
Hey, there but look, we have a look. I don't think he's pandering. He gave us Tejano Day. What did we get? We got a Tejano Day now, right?
Yes.
I'm being sarcastic here.
Exactly. Listen, Getter's on fire tonight. Getter, Myra, I don't know if you're reading our Getter.
No.
But you know, we've got let's see, let me read some things here.
Yeah. Oh, if you're not on Getter, get on Getter.
Yeah, they're saying, hey, we need to have a 90 to 80 day stay of residence before you are even allowed to buy property in Texas. They didn't know Cornyn had gotten booed. You know, they're saying, yeah, he's taking federal money. Listen, you gotta love MAGA because, you know, since they broke into Trump's estate, we're not ultra MAGA now. We're nuclear ultra MAGA. That's the new t-shirt right now. It's the nuclear ultra MAGA. You know, they've just really, you guys, they've really pissed off like the base. Jack Posobiec was tweeting out today that he's like, I never thought I'd see this happen, but he's talking about how there is actually right and left and all in the middle who are uniting right now. He said, I've never seen anything like this before. It's going to blow up in their face big time because now you've not just energized his own base, all these independents. There was a poll done today, and they said that, like, the question was asked, you know, about Trump. I don't know if it was about supporting him or running something. There was like, they asked, I don't know how, anyway, but what was really interesting was the independents. They said over 70% of independents, that's what they polled, Republicans and independents, about the breaking in of the House and all that. Over 70% of independents said they're done, they're enough, and they want Trump back in office. They may have not voted for him, they may have not supported him at the beginning, but they are done with the lawlessness in this country.
Well, and look, you guys know Frank Lopez. I think he's
we love Frank.
Yeah, Frank Lopez, for everybody who doesn't know, is running in Congressional District 23, and what he did was he got enough signatures to get on the November ballot as an independent. But Frank, for folks who don't know, is a former county GOP chair for Valverde, former SREC for Senate District 19, and he got disgruntled with his congressman, because that's Tony Gonzalez, because he's not a Republican. So Frank says, great, I'm going to go take him on. But he understands that you can't run in the primary because it seemed rigged the last time we ran against him, and we sort of led all the way and then lost it at the end. Anyway, but back to the point here is that Frank is not anymore. He's not an outlier anymore. He is an indicator of what's happening to the Republican Party. and that is people are going to run outside the party, I don't know whether to save it or to try to make real change. So when you see 70% of the independents are ticked off about Trump's house being raided, and they don't like Democrats, but here's the key. They don't like Democrats, but they don't trust Republicans. Mm-hmm. And so what happens is you start to think third party. And then, of course, we've all been brainwashed since we were kids. Oh, third parties never work. Well, if you look back at the Lincoln years, part of why the Republican Party surged in was because the other two parties were not cutting it. They still wanted slavery. So the Republican Party sort of surfaced after the Whigs and all these other, it's all history. But the point being is, in my analyzing of the current environment, the political environment, mm-hmm. the ideological spectrum is shifting to this independent that looks more conservative than the Republican Party itself.
Yes.
And because at the end of the day, it just goes back to Democrats have gone nuts, but Republicans don't know how to reach into not just white America, but into Black America, Hispanic America, all Americans, whether it's in the barrios or upper Manhattan, doesn't matter. Republicans seem to always go, bad Democrats vote for us, but they don't really connect to the base. Trump did, and they liked him enough to get him and to use him for endorsements, which is what they still do. But they don't want him back, and that's the sick part of where we are. Is, I mean, I can't be a Democrat, but I'm having a hard time voting for some people in the Republican Party. Here's the question I ask people when they tell me, you got to keep it red, Raul. You got to keep it red. Do you really think I'm going to vote for John Cornyn anymore? Because that's what they told us, and you know this, Bianca. Everybody was like, but he's our son of a bitch. Pardon my French. He's our SOB. We need to keep him. Well, we did, and look at what happened.
Yeah.
And so telling me to keep it red, we need to keep it conservative. I think it's the right answer here.
Yeah, as Cody always says, constitutionally conservative. And one of my biggest things that I look back on is that Frank started something. It was very frowned upon. He got attacked by the Republican Party for doing what he did, running independent. But you know what? I look back and I think about my race, and there was no Democrat running into my race, but yet there was 4 of us that were Republican. And what I should have done is what Frank did. Darn it, Raul, you were one of my advisors. You should have told me to run independent. It's your fault. If you let me down, Raul, it's on you right now.
You're fired.
You're fired, man. I know. But you know what? I should have run independent because I should have let those guys battle it out. We knew it was rigged. It got rigged. They were polling in my area, but no one would release the polls. We know why, because I was either in the lead or I was very competitive. I was either supposed to be in a runoff or in the lead. But here's the thing. I should have ran as independent like Frank, so I could have stayed on the ballot all the way to November.
Yeah.
Had I done that, come to find out, the guy who bought his election in my race, with Dan Patrick's help, what happened is he doesn't even live in the district. Okay. He lied about living in his beach house since September 30th, voted in an old district that's not even part of our senatorial district, voted in another county, October 21st, and didn't even change his address till November 29th after. Yeah. Okay. So supposedly he's supposed to be living somewhere as of September 30th, votes in another county, doesn't change his address, but guess the big kicker. He didn't even live in either counties. He didn't live in the original county as a House representative. He lives in Harris County. He doesn't even live in either of the counties, whether he says he lives in now or that he voted in. He doesn't live there. He is automatically disqualified. So you're fired, Raul, because you should have told me to go independent.
Hey, I was busy running my own campaign.
When I know. I'm just.
But look, let me tell you something.
I could have disqualified him.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't live in the district. if I was running as independent, and guess what? There was no Democrat and there would have been no other Republican. So I could have been that independent female that really turned everything around for the Hispanics.
Well, let me tell you, Gabe. Well, Mace Middleton has a lot of money, just so you know, and I'm sure there's a series of donations and stuff. But I think, and this is for me, I really am trying to save the Republican Party from itself, because I don't have anywhere else to go, and unless we create a third party, that's a whole different ball of wax. But there's a reckoning that's going to happen to the Republican Party, because look. From a demographics perspective, if we play along with what they're talking about, we are the largest growing populace and the Hispanic population, and it doesn't do well with hypocrisy. I mean, that's all races, that's all genders, that's everybody. But if they keep treating us like we're special because culturally we're conservative, and yet they use our votes simply to go to Texas state level politics or even the federal government to turn around. Look, they didn't even abolish abortion. They really didn't, because they put a trigger bill that made it so that the SCOTUS would do it. I think there's a lot of Republican rhinos crapping in their pants saying, what the hell just happened here? Because they never really meant to abolish abortion. You understand? They can't secure this border. We have the solution for it. Many constitutional experts have the solution for it. It's right there in the Constitution. They can't reduce our taxes. You know, a good friend of mine lived in Austin. Her mother left the house to her debt-free. She has to sell it because the taxes are so much. It's more than paying for an apartment just on the taxes every year divided by 12. It's like $2,000 or $3,000 a month. I mean, the middle class is being pushed out of the big cities because the taxes are getting crazy. But even elderly down in the Rio Grande Valley and Del Rio, West Texas, who, because we never had pension type jobs, 401ks along the border, or West Texas. See, a lot of them are labor. You know, they go to the oil fields, but they hop around from job to job. And if you're lucky, you have a 401k, but most people don't do it that way. They're laborers, they're construction workers. So they bank on Social Security only to realize that money is not enough to pay just for the taxes if you've already paid off your house. So Texas is in trouble. Republicans can't manage any of that. I always used to ask, I'm like, do we need more Republicans? Tell me what you need to get it done. And the answer is, we need real constitutional conservatives to get on board. And we're in a place here where we're going to lose the House and the Senate and the governorship eventually if Republicans don't go back to conservative values, which is what the planks say they are.
Very good, very good, guys. It's been awesome. We could obviously talk forever. We have gone way longer than normal. We're almost an hour and 30 minutes.
Cody's fault. Cody.
It's all Cody's fault. No, it's yours. It's yours, Raul. Hey, we've been trying to get you on the podcast, and you're always too busy for us.
I had to go get a hat for it.
I knew that you had a lot to say. I've been telling you should come on. We're I can't say we're uncensored, but we definitely speak our mind around here. And so, I mean, that's why I named it Stand Up, Stand Out America, because you just said it. You just wrapped it up, Raul. You said if the Republican Party doesn't get their act together, we're gonna lose. We're gonna lose big time, and that's why it's time to stand up and stand out. Because we can no longer be quiet. We can no longer, do any of that. But I thank you guys for coming out, and thank all of our viewers. You guys are awesome. You make us. Make it easy for us to come back and be able to talk to you and chat with you and give you some insight to what's really going on within our Hispanic. I'm over here in the, I guess, southeast Texas, sort of. I guess Myra's at the border and Raul's on West Texas. So we're missing a northerner. We have to get a northerner on here to get.
Let's talk to Alex de Anda. He's in Amarillo. We got to get him on board.
We got to get him on board. Absolutely. So anyway, any last words, Cody? Any last words on your end?
No, just like I always say, look into the candidates, look for the conservative candidates, look for the donors, look for the endorsements. They have Kevin McCarthy, they have Dan Crenshaw, Tony Gonzalez. Call them out, say something. I always say something. Stand up and stand out.
Raul, any last words?
Yeah, what I'll say is, look, never give up. I mean, if we were going to give up, then we wouldn't be on here, chatting it up on analyzing what's happening on the political spectrum, not just in Texas, but the federal government. It's a travesty what's happening to Donald J. Trump. We should continue to pray for him and for all of us that we can actually save America, because really that's where we're at. And, I pray that every night to the good God Almighty in the great name that is Jesus Christ. And that's it.
That's right. Amen to that. People forget that we are faith-loving people. And we love our God, and we don't do anything without him. A big shout out to Joe Kent out in Washington State. He is one of our elected officials. Remember, Cody, we met him out at AmpFest last year. We love Joe Kent. We're glad you pulled it off. I mean, he was behind and came out and was able to beat in the primary one of the women who voted to impeach Trump. So we have one more to go off of the list of people that we've been trying to clear out right across the country. And the last one left on the list is Liz Cheney. People cannot wait till this Tuesday to vote her out. And it'll be the end of Liz Cheney, that error. So Raul, we might be reshaping the Republican Party in some way or another. So yeah.
And also we need to clear out in Florida, Laura Loomer's, because he also voted against President Trump on January 6th.
That's right. So Laura Loomer also, she's one of our endorsed ones. Big shout out to Laura Loomer. Darlene Swaffer, Anthony Sabatini. We've got several, Carla Spalding. Guys, we've got several candidates that are I think they're less than 10 days now for the primary in Florida. So please make sure. We've got another girl, oh my gosh, I'm going to mess up her name. Morales, Adanice Morales. She is a pastor who is running in Florida as well, and she's gotten our support. And so there is a lot of true constitutional conservatives that are on that ballot in the primary in Florida. We got to get out the vote. So again, listen, guys, we thank you so much for enjoying enjoying. You enjoyed it. I know you did, because you're telling us that, great conversation. Our Getter crowd is saying great conversation. So we thank our Getter family out there. If you're not on Getter, you better get on Getter, because as Cody and I say, Getter is better. Look at that. Getter is better. So, yeah, we love it. We love it. Bannonites, a big shout out to the Bannonite family out there as well. It's just so much going on. But we just thank you for spending your Friday evening with us. Until next Friday, you were here on this Friday night with La Conservadora Tejana Bianca Gracia on Stand Up, Stand Out America, and Conservative Cody, as well as retired Lieutenant Colonel Raul Reyes. We will see you all next time. As I always say, peace out.